Lizzy here, and welcome to Quietly Creative ASMR. So today's video will be the Q&A video that was requested to me by a lovely viewer, and I got some really awesome questions, so I'm excited to answer them for you guys. And yes, this is footage that was used in a previous video of mine. I just posted the rain sounds only with no talking over top, but I just thought it might be a peaceful video of my voice over top of the rain sounds answering your questions. So I'm going to start right away, and I'm just going to say the questions in the order that I received them, and I will say who asked the question, and then I will say the question and then my answer. So the first question was by ASMR Melody Madison, and she asked me, what is your favorite ASMR sound? My favorite ASMR sound is probably like studying / office sounds. I love the sounds of paper sorting, page turning, writing, and keyboard typing, but I like to have them in a mixture that is natural and kind of varied. So a repetitive just keyboard typing won't do it, but like keyboard typing mixed with paper sorting and just like an organic way, I guess that would make the most sense. And I also really like rummage sounds, like rummaging through a makeup bag. So those are my favorite ASMR sounds. My next question is from Comforting Sounds ASMR, and she asked, what is the strangest food combination that I enjoy? So the strangest food combination that I enjoy would probably be peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. And I learned about it a long time ago from a ASMR creator called Sassy Snacks. And unfortunately, she has passed away from cancer a few years back. But she did a video where she did a peanut butter and a pickle sandwich, and I was so intrigued that I wanted to try it. And to my surprise, I actually enjoyed it. So I think that is the strangest food combination that I enjoy. So my next question is from Anna ASMR, and she asked, how old am I? I am 39 years old. So my next question is from Nisa Morin, and she asked me a few questions. The first one is, do you have any animals at home? Unfortunately, I do not have any animals at home. In somewhat recent years, I've discovered that I am allergic to both dog and cat fur, and the only kind of dog that I can have are the kinds that do not shed, so like terriers. And we just can't afford those types of dogs. They're very expensive, and we may consider adopting in the future, but as it is right now, I am just too busy to cats. As far as other types of animals, I love foxes and otters and swans. What are some memories connected with animals? So, my allergies kind of happened upon me later in life, but when I was younger, I had a little Pomeranian dog. This was when I was a teenager. Her name was Shalea, and I had her for 14 precious years before she passed away. And one of my favorite memories of her was we would be watching television, my family and I, and my mom was never big on pets. She always very reluctantly let us have pets because she knew, as any parents do when you're parents of younger children, you end up doing a lot of the work. But she got really attached to Shalea, and she would, while we were watching TV, occasionally toss Shalea some popcorn. And Shalea was my dog, of course, and she loved me, but anytime we were watching movies, she would always sit at my mom's feet waiting for popcorn. Another memory I have connected with her is when I'd give her a bath, she would not look me in the face, and it was the funniest thing. I would pick her up and turn her any angle, trying to look at her and make kissy sounds and talk to her, and she just would not look at me. She was so mad that I was putting her through this torture of giving her a bath. I also, when I was a child, we had an outside cat. I named him Mr. Mike after my pastor, whose name was Mike. And he was such a good cat. And I remember when I was little, just playing outside, and when he'd come around, he would come and let me scratch his head and pet him, and then he would jump up on one of the stools that my mom had around the clothesline. And yes, I am that old. My parents had a clothesline outside the house where we hung up our clothes to dry because we did not have a dryer. But anyway, she'd have a stool out there to climb up on or sit on if she needed to, except when Mr. Mike was around, because when he was around, he would always jump up on the stool and sit and watch her hang up the sheets, and it was so cute. So those are Nisa Morin's questions. Okay, so my next question is from Satisfying Lullaby ASMR. And her question is similar to my first question in that, what is your favorite ASMR trigger or triggers? And I'm going to answer this again because I think sometimes certain sounds don't give me tingles, like the office sounds that I talked about, and the rummage sounds, they don't always give me tingles. My favorite sound or trigger for tingles is probably eating sounds, which I know some people love and some people hate, but eating sounds will always give me tingles. My favorite sounds for soothingness and occasionally tingles and also relaxation are the ones that I mentioned before, but my favorite trigger for tingles is probably eating sounds. My next question is also from Nisa Morin. She asked me what led me to the decision to homeschool my children. That's rather a long story. So when my son was 5, we noticed he was behaving a little differently, but we didn't think much of it until he got to the age where we sent him to a preschool, and he had some difficulty, not behavior-wise, but just focus-wise, like when it was time to line up and wash hands after an activity, he would kind of wander around the room instead, stuff like that. Wouldn't want to sit on the carpet at story time. He'd want to kind of lay around. Had a little bit of a hard time controlling his body, stuff like that. So we took him to the doctor just to check things out, and they came to the conclusion that he was on the ADHD spectrum. And they told me that he wasn't a severe case, and that if I felt I could manage it myself without medication, that would be an option for me. So of course, that's what I did. And later on, it was time to register for kindergarten. And 2 weeks into kindergarten, his teacher was sending notes home every day about how he was laying on the carpet and, getting up and wandering around. And I understand that this can be a bit of an issue. What I didn't appreciate was what followed, and that was us having a meeting with what we thought would be the teacher and the principal, but it turned out to be, when we got there, a whole room of quote-unquote officials and the school psychologist trying to tell us that there was a whole plethora of things wrong with my son that my own doctor never mentioned. And when I say wrong with, I mean they were trying to tell me that he had severe mental problems and delays, and a disclaimer, I don't think that anybody who has any kind of mental illness or anything of the nature is any less of a person. I'm just saying that a misdiagnosis can be a dangerous thing, because they were wanting me to put my son on medications that he did not need, and that made me angry. And they also wanted to take him out of kindergarten and put him back into preschool. Now, academically, my son tested, when they did the placement tests for the kindergarten class, he tested one of the highest out of the grade, and that's what they told me before we had all these other quote-unquote issues. So they wanted to take this child out of the kindergarten class and put him back in preschool. So my husband and I had a long talk and decided that maybe homeschool would be better. So we've been homeschooling now for 13 years, and I will never look back. I 100% think that that is where God put us, and that is what I was meant to do. I'm not sure now that he's older. I think he might be ready to be in a classroom situation, and I think it might be good for him now that he's older and more mature and more in control of himself. But yeah, I does my typical day look like? So, let's see. We usually wake up around 8 o'clock. And I will either fix breakfast or I will go to Biscuitville and get them some breakfast. And then we just do our subjects. My son does his Bible class, and then he does his math class, and then he does his history, and then English, and then science. And then we're done. We have lunch in the middle of that somewhere, and then they have some free time before dinner. But and my daughter, she has her math and history, spelling, and reading, and penmanship, and I'm drawing a blank, but I think, and science, and Bible, and I think that's it. But yeah, I'm not overly strict or anything with the schedule. As long as we get every subject done during the day, I'm good. And there were 3 more questions that were earlier that I missed, and these are by Elvinia ASMR. And the first one is, who is your favorite book character, and what are the main characteristics that make her or him so likable for you? So, I am a huge Jane Austen fan, and my favorite book character of all time has got to be Lizzy Bennet, or Elizabeth Bennet. The main characteristics that I like about Lizzy are she's got this no-nonsense quality about her when it comes to shenanigans, like dishonesty, and but she's also able to relax and have fun. But I like her tenacity and her willpower and her spunkiness. Lizzy is a young lady that she is being raised in the Regency period in England, and she is from a family that is of the gentry class. And I'm trying to describe this on the fly. I don't know a lot about English literature, but her family is in some financial trouble as far as they do not have a son to inherit their estate, so their daughters have to marry somewhat wealthy, eligible men for them to continue living in a decent way, like for them to be able to survive, basically. And if you don't know anything, most people probably do know about Pride and Prejudice, but if you don't know anything about it and you don't want to read the book, I highly recommend the A&E television adaptation starring Jennifer Eel and Colin Firth. The second question is, what would be my dream job? My dream job would be working around books, as possibly like a librarian, or owning my own bookshop. I just think I would be in fifth heaven if I could have a job where I was around books and handled books and got to recommend books and just books. So that would be my dream job. And number 3, where would I like to travel the most? I have always wanted to travel to the architecture and some of the culture and visit some of the pubs and little towns, and I just think that would be so much fun. So that is where I would like to travel the most. Okay guys, I think that is all the questions. I have double checked and triple checked, but if I have missed your question, because I am human, and if I did miss your question, I am so very sorry. But if I missed your question, just put it again down in the comments, and I promise I will answer it there. I wanted to thank you guys for asking all these interesting questions. I really had a ton of fun answering them, and I'm just so flattered and humbled that you guys ask me so many interesting questions and you want to know these things about me. You just made my day. So thank you so much for that. I really enjoy making content for you guys, and I try really hard to make sure that it's good and that it serves its purpose. And I'm always striving for better sounds and better quality for you guys. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and your views and your support. So until next time, sweet dreams. God bless.